Hi, Shan.
Hello, Rishi and Shannon.
It's wonderful to have you on our podcast show today. Obviously, we know you really well because you've been with Dukesbridge for a number of years now, but you've actually been in the education business for over 30 years, and would love for you to tell us a bit about your experience and what brought you here to Mauritius.
So I'm South African. I was born in South Africa. Both my parents are South African. I went to school in South Africa, finished my studies there, and then I became a teacher. And after 3 years of teaching, I became a principal of Dolphin Coast Pre-Primary, which is based in Ballito. And then we decided to move to Mauritius because my husband, Shual, is Mauritian. So I had quite a few opportunities here to go and work in different schools. I did a short few months with Alexandra House. And then I decided to join the Lycée La Bourdonnais, a French school, so that I could really learn French. I think it was very important for me to understand and be able to speak French fluently. And I spent almost 14 years there. Then an opportunity came up with Westcoast International Primary. They were looking for a principal. So I decided to leave the lycée and I became the principal of Westcoast, was involved in building their new school. And I was also then the head of education. And then I left in March 2018. And well, in March itself, I actually joined Dukesbridge. And I've been with Dukesbridge and I've loved every moment of it. And I still am loving every moment of it. I was initially the Chief Operations Officer, and then last year I decided to take a little bit of time off traveling. And after that, I'm now head of learning for Dukesbridge.
So, in fact, the topic of this podcast is happiness.
Yes.
And last year in 2022, there was a research that was done by this professor from Oxford, and there was another professor from the University of California. So their research was comparing sectors and scoring the level of happiness of working in those sectors. And guess which sector came out on top? It was the education sector.
Education, yes.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, why do you think that is?
It doesn't really surprise me because all teachers, they have to have a passion for children. And it's not just a job, it has to be a vocation where you really dedicate part of yourself to teaching children. I think also the children themselves bring a lot of happiness into the environment. They spend most of their day at school. That's where they really begin to socialize, develop friendships that often, as you know, will last a lifetime. And that is why it's the happiest place, is being in a school environment or in the educational sector.
Well, even if education as a sector scored highly for happiness at work, I know that it's not every part of the job as a teacher is happy clappy, right? There's challenges and things that come up through the day. Surely people don't enjoy every aspect of the job. Are there any challenges that you in general that you speak about?
So a teacher has to endure a lot because they have over 20 children in a class, and the children all come from different backgrounds. They've got their own personalities, and they've also got their strengths and their weaknesses. So the teacher has to ensure that she'll cater for each and every child. And also we have talk about inclusive education. So in some cases you may have children that have got special needs and you have to have a special time where you deal with them. So it is very difficult for teachers at times, but I think with support and encouragement, they can do very well.
So in fact, I don't quite understand how some people don't get how stressful this job is, because most of the parents who I know, they would be like, look, it is enjoyable to spend some time with my children, but then imagine having to be with them and 20 of them, in a classroom for the whole day, 5 days a week. It is stressful. It is quite a lot to handle.
It is, but that's why I've said before, is that you need to have that passion and love for children. and to see them blossom and develop into a better person, to learn new things. So it's really, you have to just love kids, be there for them, and make them become wonderful people in the future. Yes.
How do you address, say, things that come up that are the challenging things? Maybe there's certain behaviours of children that disturb and lessen the happiness overall of a classroom. How could, a teacher handle that to enhance the benefit of everyone and everyone's enjoyment of the classroom?
So what we do at school is we do have behaviour charts, even from as young as the York, which is the year they're turning 4 or 5. And a behaviour chart is really for the children that have behaviour issues. It's not for the child in the class that always does everything correctly. No, it's for the child that needs to be encouraged, and we need to reinforce the positive behaviour. So by doing that, that really makes the child who has the issues feel valued and loved. And also teachers can give them like specific tasks during the day that they hand out the books or the pencils. And then you will see how the child's behavior changes.
One piece of research which I came across, I think that was last year, is that a source of teachers' stress is unhappy parents, because they feel a lot of pressure, and especially this new generation, the expectation is high. And have you seen that? And have you seen how it's affected some teachers?
Yes, I think the most important thing is that you have to try and keep your parents happy all the time, because especially with the young ones, like in the nursery and that, the teachers are actually the second mom. So some mothers may feel very insecure initially, like leaving their child in the nursery. So it's important that you really speak to the parents often. You give them the feedback that's needed. And if there's any issue at school, straight away you address it with the parents so that they're informed.
And another source of unhappiness, or let's say challenge, I mean, it's a stressful situation close to the end of terms, when we have to do report cards and all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scene for a teacher, and those sort of pressures. What sort of advice would you give to teachers to overcome them and still find joy and happiness in what they do?
So as far as reports are concerned, we always advise that they start early, and so it's not last minute. And we also assist them as well. We've recently also done like a workshop on report writing to make it easier for the teachers. And the thing is as well is to give them time. They need the time. If someone has had some problems and needs extra time in the day, that the managers can organize that particular teacher has additional time to complete the reports. But yes, teaching a teacher is a special person, because you're with your children, you've got to deliver the lessons correctly, you've got to keep your parents happy, you've got a lot of like administrative work behind the scenes with your checklists, your scorecards, your report writing.
Yeah. So Shan, do you believe that it's important for the school to create a happy environment for the teachers?
Yes, and we do so by having special training days. We have some obviously in the campuses, and it's very specific to different subjects that we need to address. And there's always an element of fun and competitions. Like recently we had that fun game, which I think you thought of.
The shoe game?
The shoe game. It was lovely, and it was so funny and hilarious. So,
and everyone got into it.
Yes, all the teams, well, the campuses are the teams, so they're very competitive and they love to win. And then we've had lots of them where they've been off-site. Like the time when we went to Port Louis, we actually ran and walked to it felt like 5 kilometers around Port Louis trying to find this and that. That was absolutely amazing, and I think everyone will never ever forget an experience like that. We've been to the beaches around Mauritius, and have done different activities where there's always challenges. The most
Climbed
recent
the
one,
mountain together.
yes, Signal Mountain. That was amazing. I thought I was fitter than I was, and so I took off with the ones in the beginning, and then it was like, wow. But it was like an accomplishment. And, you know, for many people with that thought they'd never be able to climb a mountain, they were actually able to do it. And they had this sense of satisfaction that they managed to do it. So we all at Dukesbridge are very grateful that we have these wonderful staff training days where you learn so much. There is so much team building, and it's always about working as a team.
But why is it important for the school to inject the happiness, do you think, in the staff? Shouldn't it not be that the staff themselves come up with their own happiness?
I think, you know, it's like a pyramid. It starts at the top with you, the directors and founder, and then it goes down to the managers and down to the staff and down to the children. So if you are teaching us happiness, it'll automatically filter down to everyone. And especially this year, because it's our year of happiness, it's had a huge impact on everyone. So even teachers, when they're coming to work now, they forget any problems they've had before. They leave it at home and they're happy to come to school, to see the other staff members, to be with their children, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you notice when you've worked in different schools before, but even into the different classrooms, there can definitely be a different sense of either happiness or fun, or like some classrooms don't feel like fun, or some schools really don't feel like you don't feel that happiness there. Do you think that is directly related to the head, or do you think that it's to do with the teacher or the manager of that particular campus or school?
So basically, the manager has an important role to play to ensure that the staff feel respected and that everyone basically gets on together. But sometimes you may have a staff member who's new to the school environment, who may be a bit shy. So it's up to the team to make sure that they're included. And I think at Dukesbridge, I don't really see this. I have seen this where teachers want to be isolated in their classroom. They don't share anything. They want to only do their own thing. But at Dukesbridge, I haven't really seen this, because we start our day with a high energy assembly, and you'll see all the staff participating and dancing. We have our head of departments meetings every week, where everyone looks at the work that's going to be covered for the following week. They share ideas, and obviously with all our staff training days as well.
Do you think that for our school, in a sense, we really do want to call out the excellent behaviour or the excellent standards that some staff have? And do you think that when we do our Employee of the Month celebrations, do you think that actually helps to?
Yes, definitely. Some of them are like so excited, they're really striving to win. And then unfortunately they may have that one day where they're sick, and it's like, oh well, it doesn't matter, I didn't make it this time, but next month I will. So I think it's fantastic that you reward your teachers where there's no absences, and then they've done something special for the school, and it encourages the others as well to participate more.
Appreciating someone and encouraging them and showing and rewarding them, for, being present all the time and going the extra mile, etc. What does it do to that staff member?
It motivates them more.
Okay.
I find that when someone is praised for doing something good like a kid, you will be motivated to even go the extra mile.
Shan, just before you mentioned that in other schools that you've worked at, some teachers were just kind of taking their bag and say, I'm just going to be confined to my classroom, I'm happy here, I don't have to mix with other people, whatever. It is a different culture at Dukesbridge. But why do you think it is that people choose to kind of remove themselves from everyone else? And do you feel that it's important to actually be social in a school environment?
I think you have to be social, and I think it's about a team. You know, if you work as a team, there will be more success for everyone concerned. So that teacher that isolates themselves, it's that person's loss in a way, because often it's at school that you will develop friendships. Like children have make their best friends at school. It's the same thing in a school environment. You should, a lot of them do have best friends from working together.
But don't you think that's a risk? That's a danger, because then you're exposing your, yourself, your personal life with other people, and that's where gossips happen, and disagreements happen, and then when those things happen, you still need to work with those people in that environment, and then people go, oh, maybe I should never have gone outside of my classroom. Maybe it would be better off to just stay in my own corner and be happy with my students and let it be.
It could happen, disagreements do happen. It's a normal thing that everyone encounters in life. So it can happen, but you can't not actually have friends because maybe something bad may happen. It's important to have that friendly environment. I will take an example, if I may,
Sure.
of a campus in
Sure.
Dukesbridge.
Yeah.
The Curepeep campus, it's amazing what they do. When you go into their campus, you sense the appreciation. When I go there, everyone's so happy to see me, and they are like a close-knit family. They do activities outside school. They often go to the beaches. Sometimes they've managed to save up and go and spend a night in a hotel together. And I think that's fantastic for me. I think it's wonderful.
And in fact, their level of happiness amongst themselves is so tangible that it actually reflects on the children and on the parents that send their children to the school.
Yes, it's amazing, because the children become so more outgoing and friendly. Even yesterday, I was in another campus, and the visitor was like, I can't believe how friendly the children are. So, it filters down when the manager is really involved with the staff. The children become even more confident, and it's just a feeling of such happiness. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So another area that I want to explore with you, Shan, is about what can other people do to make work happiness better, to promote happiness in the school environment for our teachers and for staff. What about parents? What about regulators, inspectors? What do you think can be done in that regard?
So firstly, as you know, we've got so many campuses around the island, so each campus has a manager. So it starts with the manager to ensure that the staff feel valued and they feel appreciated. They need to often be told that they have to do something, but there's a way of expressing that. And if you get that balance of being the manager but ensuring that everything's done, and there's that praise for the staff, you will see, as I mentioned before, when someone's praised and feels appreciated, they will go the extra mile. So it's like a close-knit family within all the different campuses. And then obviously regulators as well. They need to make sure that when you go on a campus, like I did as the Chief Operations Officer, there has to be a balance, okay? You have to have a balance of being too strict, not too strict, and not too soft. And just make sure that the reason for you going there is beneficial. It's for people to learn or to improve, and that they see that.
How much then responsibility is it on the teacher for to cultivate their own happiness versus how good the children are in the class? Say a teacher has got, because you do sometimes have a class that's just got a few tough cookies in there, and sometimes it's like, whoa, why can't I have so-and-so's class next door? They are all very well-behaved, good children, and I'm stuck with this lot, or something like that. What, have you ever been in a situation like that, or could you say, if there's a teacher watching who's like, yeah, I identify with that?
I think teachers will know that some years you will have a class and you'll just think to yourself, oh my goodness, why have I got this class this year? It may be just a lot of challenging children, children with maybe some, problems at home, and you end up with them all in a class. And as we've said, it's very difficult for the teacher to manage. But it's also an experience for the teacher, because even though as teachers, children are learning from you, as a teacher, I think you learn daily. So it's how to manage a difficult class. You have to learn new strategies. And obviously, you need to have the support from your management and higher management as well. And that's what's good, that teachers can feel like I can come to me or to the manager and say, I need help, what do you suggest? And you provide the necessary assistance.
So then it's really important for those teachers with the challenging situations to be able to feel free to come to their principal or their manager and be able to go, I need some help with this class, and get some
They
tips.
definitely need to feel that they're able to go to their manager and discuss that, because communication in any environment is the most important aspect. If you don't have that communication, things just don't basically work.
Just before, I mentioned how that piece of research that I'd read talked about a major source of stress for teachers was unhappy parents and dealing with them. But if they're happy, there could be a source of happiness for the teachers, for a school. Therefore, there's a big role that parents play in the happiness of teachers. How do you think parents can help teachers better in looking after their own kids who are attending that school, attending the class?
So I think parent involvement in the school is very important, and there are different functions that you're having now, like the Mother's Day, where there's going to be the child and the mom, and they're really doing like the challenges, the video challenges of the dance. So we need to try and include the parents as much as possible. And we've had all these fun days. We've had the hair day, we had kindness day, and even tomorrow we've got the foot day, where we're all going to wear coloured socks.
Happy
and funky
feet.
socks.
Happy feet.
Happy feet, yeah. Happy sock day. I've got my pair already. They're called happy socks, so happy feet day. So I think everything that's been done really helps parents see what we're doing, and they want to participate. And they're injecting their happiness, and that also makes a huge difference.
For the teachers, when they receive a note of appreciation from the parent or a high score at PTI or just a thank you for what you're doing, for my child, how much does that mean to the actual teacher?
It means actually everything. Is appreciation and being valued, as I've said, it means everything to the teacher, and it'll even motivate the teacher to even be better. So it's fantastic when the parents are really included in their children's journey through school. And I find obviously social media, we can see all the input from parents of how appreciative they are of everything that is done at Dukesbridge.
So what would you encourage parents to do if they feel like, oh, okay, well, I'm a bit timid. I thought, maybe I didn't know that approaching the teacher and telling him or her, you're doing a good job, actually made a difference. Would you encourage parents to do that a lot more?
Yes, you need to.
In what ways can they show appreciation?
Even a little note that the child actually gives to the teacher, like this is a Teacher Appreciation Week, and it's been wonderful to see the appreciation from the parents, from the children of their teachers. So like a little note, sometimes I've seen in the campuses that parents will send a flower to school for the teacher. And that makes such a huge difference. So it could be the simplest little thing, and it makes the world of difference.
So, Shan, as head of learning, you do go around to all of our campuses, and you are, as part of your role, sit in teachers' classrooms, and you specifically there to note how their classes are going, and you're giving feedback on them. And how do you balance, like, say for example, we have teachers that are not as skilled in running a class as others, and you know, they're probably thinking, oh look, I've got this, I'm fine, but actually in fact you need to point out quite a few things that they need to improve on. How do you balance disciplining them and pushing them without going too hard? Like, how do you find the balance?
So basically we've got like a set form that we go through, and there's a lot of criterias. So they noted from like basically satisfactory going on to very good and excellent. And so we basically look at everything of how they teach, their preparation, their interaction with all the children and that. And then afterwards, under each section, there's a comment that you write. And also we have like discussion points. We have points where they need to improve. And sometimes we also have points like of excellence. So afterwards, the same day, it's a lot of work, but after the lesson, once it's been done, they come in and you go through the whole lesson with them. You say, okay, these are the areas that you did well in. These are the areas that you need to focus on. And they then have to make sure that they work on that. Because next time they go in, I will be looking at that and making sure that they've improved and progressed. And most of them are happy with it. Because they're learning. They're learning of how to improve. Yeah.
But do you not feel that this is a sensitive topic, because people like receiving positive feedback, but then even if it's constructive, they view any not positive feedback as negative feedback? How do you ensure that by you giving the feedback to the person, he or she doesn't get all upset and unhappy and it's like, oh, discouraged?
I think with anyone that you deal with in life, even like if you deal with difficult parents about issues or complaints, it's about the communication, as I've spoken about, is that you need to be a good listener. So when you ask them, why did you do it like that? You allow them to talk, you allow them to explain themselves. And then what you can do is then say, well, I will suggest that you do this, and it will be beneficial for you to do this because it'll be easier for your children or for the classroom management or whatever it is. So I think it's the way that you explain things to the teachers, because from all the visits that I have done, all the observations and that, I haven't really had a teacher that has like said, no, I don't agree with you on this, and that. So also internally, we do a percentage. Some of them, especially in the pre-primary sector, they know. So they want to improve. You know, they don't want to be getting 75%. They want to get like 80%. So it's for their own personal development and growth.
And most teachers are happy when they receive feedback at the end.
Yes. They appreciate it because they're learning.
Exactly.
And this is what we teaching kids. They teaching kids. So the teachers themselves need to continue to learn. We all learn every single day of our lives.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like you were saying, you innately, there is this thing about when you're a teacher, it's a vocation. It's not like another, like a factory job where you're just doing literally, you know, the same thing all the time. There's going to be different characters coming in all the time. We were talking earlier this year about like how our whole theme for Dukesbridge this year is focusing on happiness, being happy, and part of the elements that make up to having a happy life. And one of them is having an attitude of gratitude. And I know that it's true that when you have a grateful attitude in your life, it definitely helps you to see everything as a gift then. And it's like, if you're grateful for things, you know, you seem to attract more and more good things into your life. How do you think that is playing out in the classrooms at Dukesbridge? Are you feeling a sense of the teachers getting that as well, grasping it and teaching it to the children?
Well, gratitude is everything, because number one, we must be grateful for life. Yes. For the children at school, you know, that they have an education, for food, for all those simple things that we take for granted. But we have to be grateful, because not everyone's in that situation. So I think now with our posts as well, we do a daily post, on the all staff, where the upper management
group,
have like a post about happiness, and often it is about being grateful. And then inside the classrooms as well, they're now doing different projects which have been decided by the management, where they're showing the gratitude towards the teachers and the children amongst themselves by writing little notes, because it is one of our things this week. And it'll be interesting to see like the videos that we have been doing about it. And people have just been feeling like so grateful at the moment, is because they get this little anonymous note from another staff member about how wonderful they are. And they just like bursting with pride as such. Even the one staff member in one of the campuses, she made like little cookies for, her colleagues. So I think it's important that it's not just like now, and we're doing happiness as our theme this year, because I think everyone's learned so much that this is something that we've got to continue in the future, and make sure that it's going to be always reinforced by the management, the staff, and the children.
Yeah.
And in fact, it reminds me of that one training day where we actually, Shan and I, we just stood up and said, okay, we're just going to start talking about you individually, and naming this person and say, we appreciate you because you do this and you've done that, and in front of everyone. And I think we went through around 40 or 50 of our staff. And
Yes.
I could see a lot of them in tears because they were not expecting it, and they were, recognized. And I think it only took us maybe 30 seconds on each staff, but I could see how, valued they felt, and that does make the difference, knowing that you feel appreciated.
So us, the staff award every month, when the manager talks about them, a lot of them are very emotional, and they actually have tears in their eyes that they've been selected because they've done so much for the school or for their campus or whatever it is. So we must continue with that, because the gratitude is so important to every one of us.
And look, we are fairly blessed to have a good staff. Overall, we have more than 200 staff members, and most of them, far and large, they're committed and dedicated, loyal. They're great. But I think in any organization, you do get one or two who don't get it, and maybe they are the ones who are always absent, they don't take their job seriously or whatever. And in terms of giving feedback, it's one thing to give feedback on their performance, as a teacher or whatever, but it's another to deal with this kind of things. So what would you say? How do we need to address those and still maintain happiness in the organization? Or maybe there shouldn't be.
Yes, I agree with you. If someone is not committed and dedicated, and as I say, it has to be a vocation, it can't just be a job, then I agree. I feel that they don't actually belong in a school like Dukesbridge, where we've got our values, we've got so many values, gratitude, happiness, because sometimes a negative element can destroy the team that you've got, because if that person's negative, they will start gossiping with someone, saying bad things, and then it destroys
that
team
carefully
that
cultivated culture that you've created, and you want to nourish it, don't you?
Yes.
And you want to nourish that happy vibe that has been created,
not every organization fits everyone. And is the right fit for everyone. And so I have seen how in one campus it was it was not right And then when that one person actually left, it was almost night and day. It's like, wow, the atmosphere suddenly, brightened up, and everyone was looking and doing well and everything. And, one person can actually cause a lot of damage.
Yes, and that's why your appraisals as well are important, because at the end of every term we always do the appraisals. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to have the truth said about you, but it's important because we also get the feedback from other staff members that they work with. It's all confidential. There's only like 1 or 2 people that deal with it, so it's sort of an anonymous. You don't know who it comes from. It is totally confidential. But it also makes you realize, sometimes we may not see things in the management, but other teachers are sensing that this person is, reacting in such a way to them. So, and then afterwards, once you sort of aware, you can monitor the situation and make it better. Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've noticed, I don't know whether you've noticed that as well, is that, sometimes when you have an idea, let's say, for example, tomorrow is going to be Happy Feet Day, everyone has to dress up. And a lot of people would take it like, oh, it is fun, we're just going to get into it. And then you got the one person that says, what am I going to wear? Why do we have to do this? Or, it's like, oh, we're gearing up for our big show at the end of the year, and people are just getting so organized, getting costumes ready, and everyone is talking about it. And then you've got like 1 or 2 people that go, it's exhausting. Do you understand? Like, we still have to work with as children, and now they're getting us to do this and that, and why do we have to? And to be honest, that affects me. That gets me, because I'm like, am I wrong? Like,
No,
am I wrong
you're
to
right.
feel
But the
this
thing
way?
is that, as I've said to you, both of you before, is that you must remember, you're not like, the rest of Mauritius. You got like one school, with so many staff and so many children, whereas you have basically schools right throughout the island. So obviously you're dealing like with a lot more people. So you will get that negative element, but eventually, that person will either have to adjust, and become happy, participate and become engaged, because the majority are like that. I find that everyone's very competitive. Everyone's really dedicated. We started the sports day practice, and you must see like how the teachers are really getting their children trained and that, because they want to win. So you will get, like you say, that bad egg, but eventually, that person will decide, well, this is not for me, and then they will probably move on to where, if they want to just go to like a job where it's from so and so to so and such time, and it's not like
And they
fun
don't ever have to wear funny socks.
No. This is the thing. Unfortunately, life is like that. We all guilty at times where we'll complain about something.
Yeah.
Oh dear, like this morning I was like, oh dear, why is it not sunny today? I was like, wanted it to be a beautiful day in the south. So we shouldn't. We should appreciate, we need the rain, etc. That's an example. So we always have to try and look at the good in life. Sometimes there are little hiccups that we all have to encounter, but you've got to be positive, and it all starts here in your mindset.
Yeah.
And it changes your day if you've got that positive, happy, grateful outlook.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shan, is there any specific situation that you can pinpoint, maybe in your career in education, that you still remember, that you're so happy, fond of, and you will remember it for a lifetime?
Well, as I've been in education, I've got many examples, but here in Mauritius, when I was a French teacher at the Lycée La Bourdonnais, obviously I taught there for so many years, and I'll see a young adult and they come up to me and they say, Shan, and I can't recall who they are, and they just thank me for giving them that passion for learning English, and now they're like studying in the UK. So that is rewarding, is that you know that you made a difference in someone's lives. And then also at Westcoast, we were the first school then to take a child who was autistic. And the highlight was when he actually participated in the end of the school year play. And then likewise here in Dukesbridge, to see our little Down syndrome child, she's also been recognized, been on a podcast. And I remember her in Vakwa, and with the commitment of the parent, with the early intervention, and to see her and how she's blossomed today. And then obviously, like in the management section, it's like when I make a difference for someone's life. So appraisals can be frightening, observations can be frightening, but when people learn and they grow as an individual, I find that really rewarding. Like I've done the English training, and when I see like a teacher who was like in York moving up to Windsor, and she didn't think that she would have the confidence, and boosted her and said you can do it, and now she's a grade 2 teacher. So those lots of little things make it really rewarding. But it's definitely at Dukesbridge that I really feel very much valued because of the amount of campuses that you have. It's you feel that you're making a greater impact, and also because of the general appreciation from the staff, which is very touching for me.
And
And
so,
you.
oh, thank you. But in fact, you did take a break at some point. You did leave Dukesbridge, and then you came back. Why did you come back?
I just needed a time off to go traveling a bit for personal reasons at that time. And then you just realize that I need to be part of the Dukesbridge family, because it's a huge, big family, and there's just so many wonderful events and functions. Like I was even speaking to that international person I met yesterday. He's going to be bringing families to Mauritius, and they're going to be joining Dukesbridge. So I explained to him about, all this, and it was like amazing to see like his reaction as such, that we just do so much, like the shows. I told him about the Lion King show, the shows that we have. I mean, this is like international standards. I've never ever seen something like this, and even when people do watch the videos abroad, it's like children participating from 2 years old, and our main cast are like actors and actresses. So there's always something new. You two come up with so many different things all the time, and I think this just makes it so lively and fun and engaging for everyone at Dukesbridge.
I think it's worth to say what makes it fun is to have people like you on our team, because we wouldn't have been able to do it on our own. We do have the vision, but we need a team to execute it, and having people like you who believe in our vision and obviously help us train the others to carry on this vision, I think makes a whole difference, make it happen.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Rishi and Shannon.
We really appreciate you and everything that you do for our school, and individually for the teachers. Like you said, your input has been instrumental to them and very encouraging. And Rishi and I definitely feel your encouragement towards us, and it's been a big blessing to us.
Yeah. So if people are considering a career in education, okay, so if they want to become a teacher, a carer, or even an admin, what are the things that they need to have, or they need to certainly be wanting to have, to be successful in education?
Number one, passion for children. They need to love children. It mustn't be a job. As I've mentioned, education has to be a vocation, because you're dealing with children. They're all individuals, and you've got to ensure that each and every child succeeds. You need to be energetic, enthusiastic. You'll see many staff come and they might be a bit shy in the beginning, and next thing they're participating, they're dancing, they're gaining confidence. So there are various things that you would really need But I think that commitment, dedication, energetic is.
Do you
really
feel
the
like you need to be happy as an individual to make it as a good teacher?
You have to be happy, and happiness can only start with yourself. No one can teach you to be happy. It's your inner self. You've got to wake up in the morning, you've got to feel positive, and when you're happy, you pass on that to others. You know, if someone just says, oh wow, you know, you're looking great today, or you help someone, it's just, you know, that gratitude, that kindness, it's all like in a package to ensure that you are happy and you're making everyone around you happy. And we've seen it this year with the theme of happiness, is how you've managed to change, you know, individuals from being like, you know, a bit introvert, not wanting to participate, not wanting to be part of like a group or something like that. Yeah.
We mentioned this before the podcast, but what makes education stand out as a sector is that the source of happiness for the teachers, for the people in the sector, is not so much about self, what am I getting out of it, but it's actually what I'm doing that is positively impacting other people, children, who will become somebody one day, you know, their parents or whatever. So it's kind of like the happiness of other people is the source of our happiness.
Yes. No, definitely it is. And it has to be that. It has to be, what are you doing that's going to make a difference? You know, to the children's lives, to the staff that you're dealing with. It's not about, oh, I'm going to work, I'm going to earn so much money, and it's not that. It's like how you can change. As Rishi says, that you change the nation. That's what you have basically tried to do, is by providing schools right throughout Mauritius and at an affordable price, so that people can come to Dukesbridge. They can get a fantastic education. Even now we are accredited with Western Australia. So people need to understand that they're part of this family, and it's all about happiness and what you give of yourselves.
That's excellent. Well, I think that's a great place to finish it. Thank you so much, Shan.
Thank you very much.
I think people will be really encouraged to listen to this, and hopefully there's a lot of teachers out there that feel more appreciated after this.
And
Yes.
keep being happy, keep spreading your happiness to everyone at Dukesbridge and beyond. Thank you for being here.
Yes, and thank you for having me. Thanks so much.
Thank you.